All right, hello and welcome everyone. It is 12 o'clock p.m. New York time on the 20th of November, 2022. We have just initiated the 10th episode of ScriptChat. It's hard to believe that this has been going on for 10 weeks already. It seems like just yesterday that I started, but I'm sure that we'll do many, many more. I'm thinking that we'll do probably 20 episodes per volume, consistent with a syndicated television show, even though the content is nowhere near the same quality in terms of like they spend millions of dollars to make it. But why not? I kind of annoyed when they make shows nowadays and there's like 8 episodes for the first season, and that's considered finished work when they used to be doing 20. It just I don't know. I know that those 8 episodes are like lots of time and work and stuff, but really, come on, you can't give us more. You got to spend all this money and all this effort to produce less than half the volume of watchable content. I don't know. So anyway, even though we do a new one each week, and even though we're not nearly as important as any of those guys, we're still going to try to do 20 episodes per volume, and we may not even take a break between volumes. I don't think so. I think we'll just keep going. It'll just be a little bit easier way for me to organize it, I suppose. And maybe I'll have some kind of spreadsheet that tells me what we talked about in each volume so I don't repeat myself too badly, or if I do repeat myself, I don't repeat myself too frequently. I at least wait a long time before talking about the same subject again. So this is the 10th episode of Script Chat, and this is a very special episode. So in honor of the 10th episode of Script Chat, we are going to go over Tenka's 10. So let me drag XavierTenka into the voice channel here. Tenka, hello and welcome. You are on Script Chat.
Oh, I didn't know. I needed some cues.
Yes,
Hello.
well,
Hello, so
welcome. Welcome. So, guys, XavierTenka is a Latin American streamer. He is from Peru. I think that he is the T90 of Latin America. He loves FFAs and Regicide games. He loves big, crazy maps. And if you are a new map scripter in the random map scripting server and you are looking for people that want to try out your creations, he is like the ultimate customer for folks that are just getting
Oh
started.
yes,
He's,
I
you know,
like
he
trying new
doesn't he
maps.
doesn't organize big tournaments yet, but it's still a way to get to meet people, get feedback, at least a basic sense on your creations. And he streams quite often now. I mean, he took a break for a while. I need to link your stream in the video description, Tenka. Do you have a regular time that you stream that folks can check you out?
Not at the moment because I'm recently coming back since
Okay.
I had a new job and I had to quit streaming for quite some time.
All right. Well,
But yeah,
all the more reason
I'm
to
going to
leave
be
him a
back at least once or twice per week in the mornings.
all the more reason to leave him a follow then.
Yeah,
I
why not?
mean, oh shoot, my webcam
Also,
is frozen.
Chariot, could it be possible for me to see your screen? Because if I think we're going to talk about maps and I kind of want to see it live.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to share Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition through the Discord so that we can discuss these maps. So this is going to be Tenka's 10. It looks like I can't get my webcam to unfreeze, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
So I
fatal.
guess I will just hide it, unfortunately. So you guys will not be able to see, which is too bad too, because I like shaved and put on all my makeup and everything like that, plucked out the
God
nose
damn it.
hairs, and yeah, I went through all this effort to be presentable on the
God
camera
damn it.
today. Oh well. I guess what really matters is what goes into the game. People don't come here to see me. They come to see the game. So we're gonna go
Yeah,
over
actually, yeah.
Tenka's 10, guys. I've got the scenario editor up. These are from Tenka's. He's been doing this for years. He doesn't have a set stream time because he's been doing it so long. He's changed jobs throughout. But this one passion of his has always remained true. So we're gonna go through Tenka's 10 and we're going to ask him some questions about the maps, see what kind of strategies unfold. And if you guys are interested, we can definitely connect you. We can share the maps with you. so that you can try them out for yourselves.
Something that I want everybody to know, once again, as you said, is that I really love trying new maps for free for all specifically. So once again, guys, if somebody watching has amazing maps, send them to me. They will be played, yes or yes. There is no in there. They will be played.
Yeah, and that's a full disclaimer, right? He says, guys, look, these maps are doesn't matter if they're fair, they could be terribly unfair, but
Yes,
that's part of the fun. I mean, it's not
free
like
for all
you're
fun.
playing for thousands of dollars, right? Who cares? Just have fun. All right,
Exactly.
so I should generate these on a large size, and I've gone through and I put a TT in front of them for Tenka's 10. And the
Oh,
first
okay
one that
then.
we're going to look at is Bakuretsu Mega Random. Oops, I need to generate it for 8 players though,
Yeah, eight
unless
players.
unless it by default selects 8 players in the number of players. There we go. All right, so
No, it
let's select
doesn't. It
eight
doesn't.
players, and let us hit generate here, and we'll kind of show it. TT sounds inappropriate. I don't. I guess I don't
Don't worry,
have quite
man.
the
Don't worry. I love
imagination.
titties, so it's fine. It's appropriate for me.
Okay, so Tenka's 10. So tell us about this map, Tenka. What do we need to know? It looks like it's pretty crazy. I mean, look, this looks kind of like Forest Nothing in this case. Look at that.
Well, that generation, yes, it looks like that, but it's not always going to look like that. However, something that is always going to be happening in this map is that you will have a lot of gold and a lot of stone. Wood is never going to be an issue. And also, if there are lakes, I'm saying lakes, I'm not saying sea. If there are lakes, they will have a lot of food, a lot of food. If you generate another one, then there's a possibility of having a full land map. Sometimes it generates a map with a lot of wild animals. But when that happens, it usually has a town center that you can hide in, so it's gonna be just fine.
Yes, so this looks a lot more like the one that we played last night. We did play this last night because I thought this looked pretty cool. How would you compare this to regular Mega Random? In this case, it looks
Well,
like you got 2 town centers here. That's pretty wild.
to regular mega random, the thing is that I don't like about standard maps is that they are like too predictable. No, I think it's not that I dislike them. I like them. I like playing free for all in closed maps, obviously. But but the thing that I like about this once again is that you don't know if you're going to start with Arden Center or with two or with pavilions or with a spearman to explore or maybe something else. Maybe like a siege tower in the last generation. It generated one. You don't know if you're going to have a small lakes or you're going to have a sea, which is something that I pray doesn't happen. And yeah, and there's always a good amount of resources. There's
Whoa,
always a good amount of resources.
whoa, look at this.
Also, the sea usually has uh, hills, so like tsunami, right? So you have a bonus attack from top of the hills. That generation is interesting, but it's not like I have seen generations with more water. So yeah, it's always nice to play this. And also, I usually play on giant because this can happen. You usually start in a space that even though it's played in large, it might look small. So I usually play this on giant, or at least one size bigger than the amount of players we have, which is something that I usually do in free for alls as well,
It's just so
because
they have a
they're
little
going to
bit
be
of
long
extra
games.
space, right? In
Yeah,
case there's
yeah,
not a
yeah.
lot of wood or
Because this
something.
is this is this happens a lot of the times. You will have a small space, so making it bigger than it should, it's always good. Of course, never ludicrous because that's just too. It takes too long to reach your opponent. So yeah,
That's true. On Ludicrous, you could like spend an hour walking to your opponent's base with a group of archers.
yeah. I play free for all in ludicrous, and it's not that fun, in my opinion. There are people who enjoy it, but I only play free for all, so I basically know the meta, if there is a meta for free for
Now,
all.
who is the creator of this map?
Azuki, but
Asuki.
I don't know the guy. I'm sorry.
Is he still making maps, or did he make this one map and then stop making
No, he made
maps?
more maps. I do not remember which ones are the other, but I have seen other of his maps. But they have a lot of like if you open the RMS file, you will see that it has a lot of things in Japanese. When you were editing that, when I sent it to you the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you saw some things that were in Japanese, but it was not in kanji. It was in romanized. And I was telling you, this means this means that, because those are like used probably if somebody wanted to modify something. Like here, for example, you see a small lake with a lot of fish and also small areas. So yeah, I have to generate bigger spaces. And
But yeah,
also,
this is a fun one. A little different from Mega Random, I guess. Maybe in the sense that the ponds are more prevalent. Is this map inspired by Japan?
no, 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 no. It's possibly just a guy who took the name because in the end, probably the small lakes is because of the name. Bakuretsu means how can I explain what it means? Okay, when a bomb explodes, what it's left of the bomb it's bakuretsu.
Oh, the shrapnel that
Not
flies
not not
everywhere.
not exactly the shrapnel, but when a bomb explodes, it bakuretsus. I don't know if I get
Okay.
myself clear.
All right. Yeah, I don't really know if there is a good translation for it, but I
Yeah,
think
well,
I
it's
understand the
well,
concept.
words in Japanese usually the verbs are so alike. So for a bomb is bakudan, and when it bakudans, the bomb bakuretsus. It's kind of difficult to explain, but I think you get the idea. So that's probably why it has a lot of puns in there. And I usually translate it as explosive mega random. So I think it's a more or less accurate translation. But yeah, that's the thing. As you can see, there's a lot of gold and stone. Usually there's a lot of gold and stone, and yeah, and some puns.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like this one has a metropolis kind of start. You got three town centers. No,
Yeah,
four.
that doesn't happen
Four
often,
town
but
centers
yeah,
work per player.
sometimes you
So it
can
can
start with
be.
even 6 town centers. It's great.
All right. Anything else to say about this map? Any strategies that are prevalent on this map and this map uniquely? Any settings that you prefer to choose on this map to speed up the length of the game? Do you prefer to do King of the Hill, for instance,
Oh
on
no,
this
you can
map?
do anything you want, but I always as I always say, just in a free for all game, you usually want to make a map one size bigger than the amount of players you have.
All right. We'll move on to the next one then. We really liked this playing this yesterday. We
Oh,
had some pretty
you
amazing
I would
comebacks.
have loved to see it and cast it possibly, but yeah.
Yeah, we played. Yeah, we played. We only got to play this one, and
Oh, okay.
then it took a while, and then we were like, okay, we don't have a lot of time to do another one, so we're just gonna do a quick like tiny arena FFA regicide.
Oh,
And
usually what I'm sorry to cut you, but usually when we play in my stream, Tiny Arena, it's a sudden death one. It's amazing.
yes, well, we talked about whether or not to do sudden death, and then the Emu Warrior eventually convinced everybody that sudden death was a bad idea. And then guess how long the game went on?
I believe it took quite some time. If you went for Regicide
Yes.
or you went for sudden death.
So Tiny Arena, 8 players, regicide, and it lasted.
I don't think it lasted a long time. Don't scare me because if you start with the castles close to each other, then you should die easily, right?
It lasted just under 3 hours.
Ah, that's
Game time.
interesting. That's
Oh
interesting.
man, it was brutal. So in
Yeah,
that time, we
but
could
those
have
are
tested another
amazing.
one of these maps. But
But those are
yeah, no,
amazing.
no, yeah, you'd have to watch with it. Basically, Emu Warrior wiped out Smokey with the help of Buggy, and then there
I
may
know
or may not
Smokey.
have been a comeback. Hey, Jaw is here. There's no meta on an FFA. I hope that your neighbors have morale. All right, so
Nomad.
let's look at the next one here. Border dispute. I have seen this one before. I don't know if it's. I've actually seen the pros play this one before. I don't know if this has been modified. You said this wasn't modified.
There are
Uh,
two border disputes that are in my map pack. There is a map pack, of course. You type XavierTenka in the mod and you will have it. There are two versions of this. One has all the resources in the middle, and another one has resources around. So I just sent you one because both are basically the same, just that there is no gold on the sides, and the other one does have it. You have the one that has a spread resources, so it's fine.
mm-hmm.
Now the thing with this is, I usually like to play this in a in a size smaller for more chaos, for more
Size
chaos.
smaller. All
Yeah,
right,
just for
normal
added chaos.
size. Now we showed this last week. Hank had turned it into or was turning it into a team map where teams are clustered together on
Oh, that's
either
interesting.
side. Do you play this on sudden death mode, Tenka? Because that would be
Always.
always really.
This is either sudden death for me or capture the relic. There is no other way.
There's no other way.
Because it's more chaotic. I love chaotic things. I love crazy things. So
Now,
yeah, in order for this to not be like how do you say it, to not be vanilla, you have to spice it. So sudden death or capture the relic is what I usually go for in this map.
So if you played this sudden death, is that just a race for a castle drop? Like
Some
whoever drops a castle first wins, and in this case, you might even be able to kill three people with a castle drop.
it is possible. Some people do that, but they also get attacked by towers. So castle age usually takes some time. People,
Mm,
when we do sudden death on this, people usually tower, and that slows the castle process for everybody because the towers will have a long range for taking into account that everything is so close.
Ja is asking about race for mangonel. Do you see people go fast castle into mangonels, or do they just get killed?
The thing is that you cannot fast castle here because you will be attacked in feudal age, which is something that you shouldn't do in free for all. But
Hmm.
usually you will get somebody making a tower, and then a tower in response that will somehow attack another player, and it's going to be a chain. So unless everybody decides that they're not going to attack each other, I don't see a way of fast castling this. At least I haven't seen one
Hmm.
yet in here.
Yeah, and that could
But yeah, you
be.
cannot escape the middle. Plus, sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can attack a town center. So sometimes town centers are in the range of yours. So yeah.
And that could be a criticism that somebody might have of FFA or diplomacy style games is that it takes forever for them to get started, right? People will spend the first hour and a half at,
Yeah, that is
get booming to
well.
200 villagers and banking up hundreds of thousands of resources. But on this map, it seems like everybody is so close together that there's just a massive amount of incentive for aggression
Oh yeah, it's like
early
forest
on.
fuckery, which is another map that I sent you. But the thing is that in free for all, you have to be patient. I uh, I used to play with a guy named Rus DM on Bubble. He had an account in Steam too, but he stopped playing for some reason. And this guy, his games lasted no less than 5 hours. And the reason why is because he always played. You usually play like Nomad, but we had a not to be one rule. So yeah, it took some time, and since those times, I got used to playing long games to the point that any game that lasts less than an hour, it's boring to me. It just doesn't make sense. I don't feel enjoyment from those.
Uh,
So this is another reason why I don't play ranked, because usually 1v1s will be like over really fast, and I usually don't get to do much. But
but
in free
but
for all,
you
you have to
normally
fast castle.
you normally play FFA, not diplomacy, right?
Oh, you can. No, I don't play diplomacy, but you can see my AoE to insights, and you will see that I only play free for all. I do not play anything else. I only
Right.
play free for all. Sometimes I do 2v2v2, but free for all. It's just free for all.
All right, let's go on to the next one here. Black Swamp. I'm looking at
And
this.
also, Doc Mag is saying here that you can go on the back gold, be Saracens, and win. Problem is you can't because that would require you to go to the back and abandon your town center. And if you're playing sudden death, that's not gonna be great. Some things that something that some people do usually when this is not in a crazy settings is just boom as much as they can, and then they just let whatever they have, they let it die and move to one side.
Look at all the tough guys in chat being like, "I know how to beat this map." Well,
Yeah,
we'll have to
you
get an
know
FF
until
we'll have to get an FFA with them and see how much
no,
craziness
of
goes
course
down.
you know how to read this map until you enter there, and suddenly you don't because
Yeah.
you know what you can do, but you don't know what your opponents will do in a situation so chaotic.
So let's look at Black Swan next.
I did not send you that one though.
What?
I'm pretty sure I didn't send you Black Swan. I sent you Labyrinth from
What?
ECK.
I have Black Swamp, so I guess we're talking about it, guys.
What I the map I
Let me
love
check.
from ECK is Labyrinth. It's not Black Swamp. I something got mixed. Something got mixed. But I can see
It's,
that in the message I sent you, it's possibly
yeah, ECK Black
probably I sent
Swamp.
you a wrong one. It's possible that I sent you a wrong one. Yeah,
Oops.
I
All
sent you the
right.
wrong
Well,
one. What I
well,
wanted is Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Well, I don't have that one ready or handy. Um, this is basically just Black Forest with mangroves, lots of patches of mangroves in the center.
Yeah, but it's not the map that I. Can you give me a second in here?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that horrible mistake.
Well, I like this map. I think it looks pretty good, but we need to make sure that we're true to Tenka's 10. He's
Okay, I
gonna
already
send
sent you
me.
the one.
He's gonna send me the
It
right
was
one.
under the. Okay, there we go. There it is. You can rename it or whatever. But yeah, there it is. I already sent it to you. I'm sorry for the delay, but yeah, that's
No,
it.
no problem. All right. We're gonna show that in the folder.
I remember that the first time I saw this map, I believe that he sent it to me personally. I think that it was like that. He sent it to me personally. Well, it was at the end, but it was like, I need a map. Send me something amazing, and he sent me, and it became one of my favorite maps. I played it once, and then I was like, this has to be played on sudden death. There is no other way. And so we made it sudden death, and now we have I think that we have 3 series of this map being played in sudden death in my channel. So yeah, 2 or 3. I'm not sure. We have played more, but only like 2 or 3 have made it to the YouTube channel.
All right. So, what size should I generate it on? Large size?
No, it's normal size. Yeah, normal giant and 8 players, obviously.
All right. Tank is 10. Labyrinth. There we go.
Labyrinth, yes, 8 players.
Number of
Sudden
players,
death,
8.
always sudden death.
All right. I'm not going to generate sudden death in the scenario editor. I don't even know if you
I
can.
know. But you know that what it is already.
Whoa! What on earth? What is this?
It's a labyrinth, but yeah, it is
I
great.
guess so. So, how do you even do this, Tenka? Like, how do people pick Franks to go for the berries? Do people pick Celts to go for the wood?
No,
Do people
actually,
pick?
the resources have well the gold, the stone. They have less than they should, so they are going to be finished fast.
Okay, so they have less stones stored in them, so you're able to finish them faster. Who made this map?
Yeah. I believe it's 25 stone or something like that. Than that it has on them.
Ah, okay. Who made this map?
Well, it says ECK. I'm not sure who he was, but yeah, it was him.
ECK would
He's on
be the event, I
he's on the
believe.
random map Discord.
Well, let's open it up and take a look. Oops. That's Black Swamp. I
It
want...
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the same creator. So, but yes. So usually when you know this map, and obviously in the stream sometimes we get the same map because something that I usually do is like make a small raffle, and whoever wins picks the map. And whenever we do this map, you go to the third layer of wood and make gates in there, and then you're golden. Then you wait, you boom, whatever.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did name it. He did prefix it after his own name. That's where James Eck. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, but he's on the random map Discord. Yeah, there's a lot of maps in there.
Maybe he said another
I
name.
love going through them and
So
collecting. I curate them.
you
You can say
curate
that.
them. So I think
Yeah.
a big thing to point out on this map is you can't see the trees on the mini map.
Oh no. But
So
it's obvious how they are working.
well, yes, but I'm wondering if that's done intentionally. Probably it's got, or actually it's probably a feature of the design. It's a limitation in the design. But these trees are being placed as objects. So that means that these trees are lameable, are they not?
They are not. It's it's obvious, but well, you think they are, but they are not. You cannot blame them.
So in other words, by lame I
They are
mean
not stragglers.
you can't cut them down and build on top of them?
No, you can't.
What? Can you build
Really?
anything after the total amount of wood from the tree is removed?
Yeah, of course.
You
That is why in this map you usually make outposts on the 4 sides of your town centers because somebody is going to cut and come with a lot of trebuchets.
so you can build out here
Yeah, of course you
where the
can.
tree used to be, but you're saying
Yes.
you can't lame the tree, you can't
Yeah,
cut the tree
but you
down and
cannot
then
build on the stump while it still has wood on it.
I don't believe that.
Oh, try it.
Yeah, I will. I will, because I'm curious. I'm super curious now. Um, so we'll test it out, boys. We'll launch it up. Because if he found a way to do that, then I'm gonna be very impressed, and I need to ask him how he did it because that's something that I've always wanted to do.
Oh no, this guy usually. Well, I thought that it was like that, but I've noticed that it's not. So yeah,
Doc
try
Maggie
with it. Try
says.
with the trees that are more in the middle.
So Doc Maggie says I made a labyrinth map called Maggie Maze, but it's totally different look.
Well, I need it now.
Well, we'll share it sometime. Yeah.
I need it. I need it.
Yeah,
Just
you
send it
shouldn't
to
have
me,
said
man.
that. Now Tenka's going to be bugging you about it. All right, so
Yeah,
let's.
I love all these maps, man. And I usually delete the maps that don't work, or I fix some things that they have. For example, Bakuretsu, for example, it did not allow regicide. Whenever you had regicide, it just start with you dead.
Oh, you just defeat. Well, that's an easy fix. You just say if
Yeah, it's an
regicide,
easy
add
fix.
a king.
But imagine that I went through all my over 400 maps and fixed each one of them.
All right. So you're
Can be
saying that I
cool.
can't come out here and lame these
You can
these
lame
trees.
the ones that are close to you, but you cannot lame the ones that are
All right. Let
away
me
from you.
try laming this one right here.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. What? Now you can? That is stupid.
Let me just make sure that I did.
Well, that is weird. I remember that
All right, there you
that we were
go.
not able to.
So you could lame your way through, but I mean, it's probably impractical because you'd have to
Yeah,
do it
it
to
is.
lots of
But
trees.
there is something wrong because I'm pretty sure that we tried to do so in a stream, and you couldn't.
So Ja says, I think you can do that with some second object. Well, what you can do, Ja, is you can place a second object that is unbuildable underneath the tree so that you cannot place a foundation on the stump. But if you do that, then you will never be able to build there, even after the wood is completely removed from the stump. And I do have that on
That
some of
happened.
my other maps. And that in and of itself could be very interesting because that would mean that you basically wouldn't be able to build barracks or castles or anything out there but
Or
towers,
anything,
which
yeah.
could be a lot of fun actually to try.
But it would be probably fun to try, but it's not going to be good for the players because there's not going to be any way to do stuff really because there is no there is no 3x3 space in there. So yeah.
I'll send it to you, Tech Chariot, on Discord now, says Doc Maggie. Well, actually, we could collaborate it. We could collaborate on it through GitHub if you want. I still have to fix some issues like player resources spawning because of some land origins, but it's viewable at this stage too. So don't focus on the resources too much, only the map itself. All right, so here is ECK's labyrinth map, guys. Let me just generate a couple more. I think it's pretty standard in terms of the player starting arrangement. What kind of strategies do you see on this one? If it's always sudden death, you can't really boom. I mean, you probably couldn't really boom too much anyway.
No, you actually can
Yeah.
because the games usually the games are not that as fast as you think they will be. So yeah, people usually boom, and the thing is that it's a free for all. Okay, so there's bound to always be somebody that's going to be untouched.
So, Persian's popular pick for this map. What other civs might be popular for this map for sudden death?
Usually, well, I don't. I have to tell you that only once I've seen Persians on this. People
Oh,
usually go
really?
without really knowing what they're into, and when they do, the only person that I know that Persians is a person that actually always picks Persians. It's not like they decide to okay, this is the map, and I want to take advantage of the bonus civilization. The thing with free for all is that you have to think end game. You cannot be thinking I will attack on the feudal age. I'm going to attack on the castle age. Well, you can attack on the castle age, but not in the. There's not going to be a rush or a flush. You have to think about end game. Are you muted?
Nope. No, I'm just looking
Okay.
at it, thinking. All right. Anything else to say about this map before we move on to the next?
Oh, death is sudden in it. Yes, that's the only thing. So you're doing something, and then suddenly your town center disappears. It's great. It's kind of like a map name Starfish, but I didn't send it to you because I was restricted to 10. But yeah.
All right, let's look at the unknown. This is a classic. This comes back from Ensemble Studios. I believe this has been with the game for as long as the Age of Kings has existed.
Yeah, this is my favorite
Tell us
map.
about, this is your favorite map. All right, tell us about the unknown.
The unknown is basically a map that is generated, and after it's generated, it puts the players in it. So it's not going to be fair. Sometimes, for example, look at red in there. It's alone in an island.
Yeah, this dude has
Um,
his own island, but then again, it's
However,
harder for him.
yellow and orange are sharing an island.
That's
Yeah,
true.
it's unfair. It's totally unfair. I love it, and sometimes even the starting resources are not unfair. I've seen that sometimes, for example, a player starts with like 8 sheep, and another player starts with 3 boars, but no sheep. Just to give you an example,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what makes this map one of my favorites, definitely. I've seen also that a player starts in a kind of a forest nothing situation while everybody else is out there fighting, or everybody's in a land and somebody's in a small island, like divided by a one tile tree or one tile or two tile river or something like that. It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
could.
always gonna be unfair, and that's what I like about it. I love this map, man. You have no idea.
Because it could basically be anything, right? We could be looking at a wintry scape,
Yeah,
and
it
then we
can be
could be looking at desert the next
it can
time.
be anything. In fact, as I told you, it's not like mega random where it generates the same for everybody and it's basically the same map 8 times. This is just the map and then puts the player in them and good luck.
Yeah, so in other words, most of the maps are made to accommodate the players. Like it
Yes,
puts the
yes.
players down first and then says, okay, because you're all here, you all get X, X, and X.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
this one's like, okay, we're just going to generate this nice landscape, and then it just plops the players down randomly on that landscape and says, good luck.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, Doug Maggie says, I love unfair maps as well. I guess we're unveiled villains.
Oh, it's fun to see them, and it's fun to play them as well because because you have to. Well, you don't know what your opponent can go for based on what you see because what you see is not exactly what they can see or what they
Mm-hmm.
have.
And it works for FFA and Diplo because FFA and Diplo is unfair already. Like the
Free for all
fairness of the map.
can be a little bit fair because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be winning.
Well, hold on now. Like you could have two people 2v1 somebody in an FFA, like on either flanks. Like green here could be attacked by blue
Yes, but
and gray.
when something like that happens, somebody else will intervene and attack whoever is there.
Maybe, but they may not. The point is that their ability to muster twice the economic capacity and twice the troops against green is a large unfairness compared to the fact that green maybe started with one fewer
About this,
boar
as
or
I said,
something.
well, we go back to the beginning now. You need to be patient. You don't have to attack right away. You can just wait for people to die,
Hmm.
or you can just take your neighbor, take the resources, and just be done with it.
I always attack right away. I always attack whoever's to my
And that is why
right.
you probably lose.
Yes,
Usually,
well,
when people attack first, they are left in a situation in which if they get attacked while they are attacking, well, they obviously die. But yeah, that is why you usually wait. For example, look at this. These guys are mostly in a pit. I bet there's at least one that is not in a pit. If this was sudden death, that would be a great advantage. Well, in the other map at least.
oh my goodness, look at this. We just got a landmass over here. And then some people are on their own little individual islands. And there's a great sea with lots of fish. Yeah, this is fun stuff, man.
Yeah, this is my favorite map ever.
Let's do a couple more generations for the quality of the content here. Look, here's just a lake here. There's just a lake
Yeah,
right
but
here,
it's for blue.
and blue just gets a lake, and
And yeah,
cyan
exactly.
doesn't.
It's what I told you. Like you can start with some extra resources that some other players do not have. For example, Cyan, there is no way that he can go to any of the lakes. But it's possible in this case that green might fight for the lake with I don't know yellow or but teal is never going to do that. However, teal can wall really easily. So
Hmm.
can orange, but nobody else can.
Do
Orange
a
has the best wall in there, for example.
Yeah, that's true. He does.
I started with 2 castles and he didn't even get a ship. That would be something. No, that is just crazy unfair. But there is a map that is kind of like that. You will see it later.
Well, RMS tries to give everybody the same thing. It tries to be fair.
Oh no, unknown is never going to give you the same.
But I guess we'll see it here. So just some fun stuff with the unknown. I wish we played it more often. It does look like a lot of fun. And I've
Oh,
actually
it's
known about
amazing.
this map for some time. All right, what about Tornado?
Sudden death.
Tornado
That
is
is
a
for
sudden
sudden death.
death map. Um,
Yes.
everybody's got, how many is this? 3 town centers?
Two. There are two town
2.
centers. Everybody can
All
see the
right.
middle, kind of like El Dorado. But this can generate shallows
Okay.
outside.
So
So yeah, that is.
there's a middle area that's completely visible that has golden stone in it.
And there is
And
also trees are in mangrove as well outside, and that is interesting to me.
all right. And there's just regular snow pine trees too, because why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, because why not? Yes.
Um, okay, so what happens with this one? Is this like demo ship heaven or what?
Usually you make demo ships to protect yourself in there, but yeah, one of my favorite castings have been in this map. In fact, I featured in my channel, for new people who visit the channel, one of those games of El Tornado was the one that everybody would see first. It's an amazing thing. I like the fact that you can just put a lot of demo ships and just protect yourself and stop a possible petard attack. Because I know people, I have names of people who will
Oh
always send you a
yeah.
lot of petards.
Oh yeah. We know that there are people that just love marching petards into the center of your base and killing your town
Yeah,
center in sudden death.
since the free for all community is so small, I kinda know the names of most of the people and their strategies. In fact, the person who taught me how to play with Japanese in free for all, I don't know if you ever heard of him, Hitokiri Batusai. Um, he had an Excel file with the names of everybody, with their other names and also their strategies.
Oh wow, that's dedication.
Yeah, he. If you take a look at his AOE2 insights, you will see that he plays even more Japanese than I do.
So what's with this market here, Tenka? Because I generated this the other day and I
No,
saw
it's
some
you can
markets
start
like
with a market sometimes.
you
Yes.
just randomly start with a market just for
Yeah,
no
you can
reason.
start with a market and you can trade from the beginning, or you can use your trade card to explore. So I've seen people who just start trading at the beginning, and yeah, because why not?
Yeah, all
Usually
right,
the trade
yeah.
card dies though, but yeah, you sometimes can start with a market. It's not like it's a feature that you need to do something special with. No, no, no. It's just a market.
Looks like there's plenty of different textures in here too. Was this used
Yeah, they are
for
mixed.
different biomes and such? Was this used for an actual competition at some
I
point, or
have no
was this
idea.
modified from that?
I have no idea. I just know that I found the map, I loved it, and I kept it.
Very well. All right, I guess we'll generate another one here. This is kind
Yeah,
of interesting.
it's mostly the same that you're going to see.
All right, we did Labyrinth. What about Mad Random?
Oh, that is unfairness times 1,000.
This one, Doc Maggie says, looks like caramel chip cookie map. Yeah, it did. Now this one I believe was made by the Mad Catter, and this is just totally crazy.
Yes,
This
Mad
might be
Random is
more.
completely it's a it's it's unfair to the point of frustration. But just at the beginning. But just at the beginning. Once you get a hold of once you survive like 20 minutes, then it's gonna be just fine. Everything's gonna be fine. But yeah, usually it will generate something ridiculous. Sometimes it generates for some reason a town center in the middle of a lake. But yeah, but it is what it is.
So we
This
got it.
map is actually asked a lot in the when I cast games.
Really,
Is
Mad
yeah, yeah,
Random,
yeah,
the
yeah, Mad
Mad
Random,
Random
yeah,
craze. I guess there is
yeah.
some pretty
It's
weird
totally
stuff. Like
unfair.
there's just random. There's just like an open area just back here for no reason. Um, and then you have this. What is this? A
No, the
wonder that
reason
you
is for you
start
to
with?
ask yourself why is it there.
Um, a monument. You start with a castle and a monument and a monastery in this case and some towers. That's fun.
Yeah, but if you generate more, you will see more crazy things. It's amazing.
Doc Maggie says looping and variable features would reduce script sizes by so much. Oh, you bet they would. It'll never happen though. All right, so this one's kind of like Forest Nothing.
Is it?
And
Look at the middle.
well, I mean, it's a cross between Forest Nothing and Border Dispute. So on this one, you can't even like build outward at all. There's cliffs, there's trees, and there's
I've seen people who have started
ponds.
in the middle of the forest as well, so yeah, it's great.
There's a random desert clearing right here for no reason. It's just there. It's fun
Also,
stuff.
Gaia outposts. Sometimes there are
Gaia
Gaia
Outland.
petards, Gaia rams.
And this one has a network of canals or maybe some shallow lake with islands over here, and then the players are all kind of just starting over here.
Yeah, that thing happens a lot, and I like it as well. It's like you have a small map or a large map, and it's somewhere in there, and then it's filled with whatever.
So possibility of a nomad start. This player has just a really large forest here, whereas I guess green can still take wood here. That's just crazy, crazy stuff. Mad random indeed.
Yeah, it's mad. It's great. It is amazing. Look at orange. It's all like his own world. Oh, okay. You changed
You
it
start with
already.
a saboteur or a petard. That's pretty
It's
wild.
possible for you to start. No, you don't not start with heroes in this map. No, you cannot start with heroes. It's most likely a better. And Saboteur is kind of like a hero, so yeah, it's
All right. Well, I could click generate on mad random all day.
oh yeah, and it will always generate something that is unfair, but it's fun. But it's fun. Not as fun as the unknown, but yeah, it's fun.
All right. Rage quit random.
Oh, you know that one, right?
No. I looked
Oh,
at this the other
okay.
day. Let me refresh my memory here.
Oh, you will see a lot of things in the map now whenever it generates.
Whenever it generates. Here we go. So, what on earth is going on here? Seems like there are lots of towers.
Yeah, and it's possible that they are fire towers. This map likes to generate fire towers.
Fire towers. Okay.
Oh,
Just,
generate it again because this wasn't. This one is kind of this one okay. It can generate more crazy things.
so it
Just
seems
change.
like rage quit random is a little bit more random in the units, not so much the terrains and
The
forests
terrain
and
is okay,
such.
but the units you will get is basically will probably want you to rage quit at the beginning.
So you get a Fatoria in this case.
Everybody gets as Fatoria.
Couple
Oh, also,
Fatorias.
this maps loves to generate iron bores. It's amazing.
Iron Bores. Looks
Yeah,
like we've
it generates.
got some heroes too.
Yeah, this map can generate heroes. Yes. Sometimes it also generates walls and stuff.
So Joss says, I need to make a map where your scout is Admiral Yisun Shin.
Oh,
Well,
you
it
have
would
to
have to
make
have
it
a
walk
lot of,
through the water.
yeah, it would have
To
to be
through the.
a lot of water on that map. Look at all of these fire towers.
Oh yeah, they are fire towers, and that's a lot of scouts as well. Sometimes you start with over 50 population in this map. It's great.
Oh my goodness. Well, you could, that's like mega housed. Do you even
No,
have,
yeah. You're obviously housed.
do you have the resources to build all the houses you need, or do you have to collect the resources?
No, you will have to pick a place to start basically because it's possible that you start with more than town center, and you will have to just concentrate on one place because other places that you have might from the beginning they're going to be under siege, so
Look
you're
at
going to lose
this.
a lot.
I
You start
count
with a lot, but you also lose a lot.
6, 7 scouts here. You could scout rush somebody just starting out. That would be
Yes, you
annoying.
could, but people usually don't. Also,
Why not? Is that whole don't attack first rule?
no, I don't know why, but I have noticed that whenever we get a lot of things, people usually take all their militaries and they protect instead of attacking. Probably
No,
they think they're going to be attacked too.
they play defensively.
Yeah, yeah, they don't want to lose their units. Generate more, it's great.
Yeah,
It generates heroes and everything. But
I've
this map is so heavy.
I've hit another hit generate again. Come on, it's thinking about it. It must be a large map.
It is a large map, yes.
Ooh, this is fun. Look at this. Just this big bay here. Some connections there.
Yeah, but it's a fake security. They are fences.
Yeah, these are not very strong walls at all.
No 1 HP.
So anybody can get in. They have to tell you that they're coming in, but they can
But at
get
least
in
it tells you, yeah, right.
because all that you'll get is a notification that you're being attacked. That's
Yeah,
it.
and that's going to
And
be it.
then they're in.
That's a nice map generation.
So Rage Quit Random looks like it's more focused on the randomness of the units, and not as much on the randomness of the geography.
Yeah, I wanted the map maker to make a new version with the new biodomes, but he said that he left the project a long time ago. Oh, look at that iron boards. Great.
Iron Boars. Now,
It's
Iron
possible
Boars
that
have 700 food on them, don't they? They've got extra food, but they're like as strong as a paladin or something. So good luck taking
no,
Iron
they're not as
Boars
strong
with.
as a paladin, but I think that they have a 14 bonus attack against everything.
They're so strong,
They are.
and that's why Attila and Bleda had to work together to kill the Iron Boar.
Actually, Attila has a bonus attack against iron boards.
Really?
So
That's funny.
yeah, but so
Um,
it's against boards in general. I mean, Attila has a bonus attack against boards. So yeah, it's not going to be a problem for him. But yeah, look at that. They generated a lot of things.
all these outposts. It's fun, fun, fun. All right, let's look at Utopia now.
That's kind of like arena with a lake in the middle. I like this one because it's no, well, not arena, but fortress instead.
All right. Yeah, I was looking at this. I was like, it looks like there's a set of walls on top of a set of walls on top of a set of walls.
Yeah,
Looks
yeah.
like there are 3 walls that you have to break through in order to get to somebody's town, and it looks like
It's
there
not
are
really that
2
hard
town
though,
centers
but
here. You play this
it's
on
not really
sudden
that hard.
death as well?
It can be played in Sunday. I usually play this as a normal map. No, I don't do any special things with it. It's
What
just the novelty of it. You see,
what's the
it's interesting.
meta? What's the meta for this map? Like what
Oh, you go
do
to the sides. You go to the sides.
to go out to the sides out here, secure
Yeah,
these
you attack from the sides.
resources?
You don't attack from the center because the center has too many trees. They have to be chopped all one by one. So you go to the side. Some
Mm-hmm.
people usually sometimes go to the middle and dock, but that is something that not a lot of people do for some reason. I don't know
Hmm.
why, but they don't dock the middle.
Is the
They
concern
just go and they attack from the backside.
they might not be able to get to the middle because they think
No, they
that the
can.
trees are impassable? I mean, it looks perfectly passable to me.
No, yeah,
Annoying,
yeah,
but
it's possible,
can
but they
path to
don't.
it.
Probably because it's just like too much of a problem to just go. They cannot be bothered.
Hmm. Interesting. All right, any other notes on this map? It seems like it would be pretty natural to just kind of wall to the edge of the map and try to secure the corners and then push out from there.
Yeah, you could do that, and that is well, the thing that, as I said before, what they usually do, or what for some reason instincts tell them to do, is just to expand to the back of your base and then attack, and then attack the back of other people's bases. It's very unlikely for people to attack in the front, like going through the middle. It's something that I don't see happening a lot.
Unless you're Britons. And then you build up your big old ball of longbowmen in between some tree lines and just rain ruin on your opponents. He
Yeah,
comes to charge you with paladins, and you're just like, only one of your paladins can attack at a time. Good luck with that, buddy.
yeah, that is I've seen archers on there, but usually they don't go all the way to the other person's base. As I said before, they just build in the back of the base, they expand it to the back, and and that's it, and then they start attacking there.
Anything else you want to say about this map before we move on to the next?
Oh no,
Um,
that's it basically.
because this one doesn't really have as many. It's not a mega random map, so if I hit
No,
generate
no, no, no,
again,
it's not a mega random map.
it'll
No,
look
no, this is
essentially
just
the
illusion
same. Um,
or utopia. I mean
spacing
utopia.
to the
There is
lake
no.
is a little unfair, but you know what? Hey, it's an FFA map, so
But as I said before, it's not
unfairness is
like
good.
like they go to the middle. They don't go for the lake.
Hmm.
And I said, don't ask me why. I don't know, but yeah.
That might be part of the reason why is because they don't know how far away the lake is, whether or not it's even worth it
That's possible too. Yeah.
for yellow. Like he might be like, oh, the lake's super close, and then he'll come out here and be like, where's the lake? Meanwhile, for blue, he might think it's really far away, even though it's not that far. Safe Eco Regicide. I gotta ask you about this one, Tenka, because I have no idea what to do on this. Is this
Oh,
just a
you played
wonder
as Regicide.
race? What?
You played as Regicide.
How?
Oh, you play as regicide, and you start. You have this unraidable base, and you have two villagers and a king in the middle.
Where?
Well, you have not set this as regicide. If you generate it in the well, in not in the scenario, you will see that you will start with two villagers and a king in the middle.
Oh. Secondary game mode, regicide mode. All right.
So you saw the map and you were like, "What do I do?"
Yeah, I had no idea. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. So you got a king, couple villagers,
Villagers and a king.
and interesting. So
Okay, now it makes more sense.
yeah, and now it makes a lot more sense. So you can't dock, obviously,
No, you can't.
and you cannot cross the shallow area with all the rocks.
Nope.
So it's basically just build up what you want to build up on this area in the middle,
And you have a safe eco, regicide.
and you have a safe eco, and you can't build military out here.
Oh, you can, but why would you?
Well, yeah, it'd be a waste, right? Because you can't get to your opponent. The
Yeah,
military
you
cannot
can't.
pass to the center, nor can you cross over and get to your opponent that way.
Yep. So what people usually do here, for some reason, again, is make a barrack and then they wall it, and then they wall themselves until they get to the castle or feudal or castle age.
Hmm.
You protect your villagers because they have noticed that if they attack the villagers, whoever is playing there, it's over. If you
Yeah.
lose your two villagers in the middle, it's over. So you want a fast castle and make a town center, or you want to go feudal and then kill with archers whatever you can. Because this
Hmm.
time you will not be punished for that because nobody's going to attack your eco.
Right. Now, what about these? What's with these berries, Tenka? Why are there
Oh, they are there.
berries?
It's possible that the creator of the map just put it there so that the villagers can meal or something.
It's the villagers have something to do while they're waiting for
Yeah,
the castle
that
age.
is the only thing that I can think.
Now, why no wood though? I guess the wood would make it harder to pick fights. Maybe it would take up more
Oh yeah,
space.
yeah, it's completely empty as you can see. Plus, you can get the wood from your main island.
Right. What about this ice here? Is that ice supposed to is that ice there all the
Yeah,
time?
it's always gonna be there. I
Why
have no
is
idea why it's there. No, I don't know why it's there. I
you don't know?
just left it
Hmm.
untouched.
All
But
right.
it's always going to be there in the middle. Possibly, maybe it's because you can play King of the Hill there. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, but it'll King of the Hill has hard coded features that basically just remove whatever's in the center and replace it with a monument.
Yeah. But the ice is going to be there anyway.
Okay, so this looks like my kind of map, Tenka. I gotta say,
Oh, that's nice.
this looks like my
But
kind of map for sure. You can't
so
raid my
I can
eco.
imagine. I can imagine you were puzzled of how do you play this.
Yeah, I was like, is this a wonder race? I had no idea. It makes a lot more sense. Look at this though. This is quite the
Well, that's a
long
mistake,
connection
but
here.
what it is.
Fun stuff. Do players generally find this? Does anybody? No, probably nobody complains about having different amounts of wood on the islands. Maybe I could talk to the map scripter
No,
one and
the
see
game
what.
usually ends before. I have not seen. I'm yet to see a game in which the resources run out on somebody's island.
Usually the king gets killed first.
Yes, yes.
You know, it could be kind of cool if like somebody's king died and it created an explosion that destroyed the rocks leading to their island and it opened up their island. Wouldn't that be cool? And
I
then you
have
could
not
and
think.
then you could take their resources. It would
I
sort of
didn't think
change the
about
game
it.
though. But like you get something for sniping kings. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be nice if you kill the king and then all the paths through their bases disappear. Yeah, it would be nice.
But we'll see. It might be possible actually. Now that I'm thinking about how this works. How
Oh, it would be nice if you could modify that.
okay. Well, it's fun stuff. Let's look at the next one here. Solid Lake. Actually, this is the 10th entry of Tenka's 10.
And that's a map that I made.
That's a map that you made. Now, I don't mean to be a jerk, Tenka, but what does this map have to offer that Ghost
Oh,
Lake doesn't?
feitorías.
Oh, really? So you could just modify
For
Ghost Lake with a Fatoria and it would be the same
well,
as this
it
one.
has fetorias, it has more trees. That's basically it, really. I do not like ice biome, to tell you the truth. And I think that I made the solid lake a little bit bigger. I think I did. So the only reason why I do, and also it doesn't have a well, what's the name? Ghost Lake has some small ponds with some with fish in it, I think, and
Yes.
this one doesn't. And what I like about this map specifically is that I made this map specifically to play as Capture the Relic or King of the Hill or Battle Royale.
Hmm. Okay. Now, why would a big empty unbuildable space in the center, how does it affect the gameplay?
It's as I said, as I told you, I only set this as King of the Hill and Capture the Relic. That way you cannot build in the middle. You
Mm.
have to replenish your troops from your base. And not only that, there is this guy in the stream, Funny Liquid, you know him, who every time that you play Capture the Relic game, he will build a chain of towers. This prevents that.
So this is Tenka's anti-funny liquid map. This map
And the
thwarts the
shenanigans.
funny liquid. Yeah, funny liquid. I think I know who he is. He's the Israeli player, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So this is basically Tenka's way of expanding that unbuildable rock terrain around a monument or around a monastery, or
Yeah,
rather a relic in the center.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. It works. Is there a lot of booming on this map? Looks like you got plenty of space back here. You could
Well,
boom if you
since you're
wanted.
playing, yeah, there is a lot of space. You can boom in there and then send everything to the middle, or you can attack your neighbor, whatever you prefer. But usually people don't die in this. They just go for the middle because in the stream people actually play the objective.
As you learn more about random map scripting, you may actually consider requiring the relics to spawn on the unbuildable rock terrain, so
Oh,
that Cyan doesn't have a free
that's something
relic back
that I
here.
didn't think at the moment because as I said, the only I just wanted this to be I just wanted this to be played in Capture the Relic or Kill the Hill. But something that I would like to do with this is maybe make a lot of relics be in the middle and make the middle visible. Like make the rock visible.
Make the rock what? Visible?
Visible. Uh,
Visible. Well, it's
the
vis.
middle. Like in El Dorado.
I guess I don't. I don't understand because I can see the rock now.
Oh no. At the beginning. It's explored.
Oh, to play on explored, you mean? Okay.
No. I don't know how to explain this, but for example, in El Dorado, you can see all the resources in the middle, always. It's always in your other side.
El Dorado. Okay, you mean the map revealers?
Yeah, the map revealer. Yes,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
like to have a lot of relics in the middle and map revealers in there.
That is an object that you can just place that just reveals the map. That's how that's achieved. There is just it's just like placing a boar, except you're
Yeah,
placing an
yeah. Is it
object.
possible if is it possible to just place the map rebuilders on the rock terrain because that's how I think it should work.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then that's possibly
That's
what I'm
that's
gonna do
very doable.
and put a
Yeah.
lot of relics in there.
Yep, that's trivial. Basically, just create 99999 groups of them and then terrain to place on the rock, and you
Yeah.
set place for every player, and it should work out great.
Oh, amazing! I'm going to modify that now that you gave me that idea. Amazing.
You gave yourself the idea. I just told you how to do
Oh, okay.
it.
Thank you.
um, all right. Anything else that we should talk about? Any of these maps, Tenka? These have been some pretty cool maps. I really appreciate your expertise talking about what you've seen and some strategies and some settings that work well on these maps. Is there any map that we should go back to, review? Any other
The
tips you
unknown.
have?
Always go for the unknown. You can never go wrong. Well, you will go wrong with the unknown, and that's the beauty of it.
That's
It's gonna
part
be
of the fun.
glorious.
Um, it's the one you want to leave it on. ES the unknown.
Oh my god, I love that map. You have no idea. But people for some reason people say, what is that mod? It bugs me that some people confuse mod with map. They say, what is that mod? How do you play that mod?
Yeah, you can.
And I just say that this is the old version of Mega Random, and that's it.
You
Because
might
it
not be too
basically is.
far. Yeah, I mean,
It basically is the first Mega Random ever.
just the unfair version of it. But this is fun. We should do. Maybe we should do an unknown tournament or something like that. A tournament on ES the Unknown. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun?
Yeah, it
People
was
would
amazing.
be very upset, but it'd have to be like some kind of FFA tournament, and it would have to be like triple elimination or something, so that if you really did get a bad generation, you wouldn't be eliminated completely.
I was thinking about making a free for all tournament for 100,000 Zimbabwean dollars, but I wanted to put the Zimbabwean in really small case later and place it on AOE song.
So yeah, I'm sure there wouldn't be any outrage over that.
Oh, it would be amazing. It would be glorious.
Zimbabwean dollars.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
It's like
Tenka.
very deflated
Oh, I
currency.
know. They're
So
probably not worth anything, or at least worth very, very, very little relative to American dollars.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
in fact, I wanted to name it the great Tenka free for all tournament for 100,000 small Zimbabwean and big dollars. Amazing stuff.
Tenka, thank you so much for joining us today. Doc
Sure.
Maggie says you can buy 2 loaves of bread for that amount.
I don't know if you can do that with Zimbabwean dollars.
I guess if there were bread, you could probably buy it.
Yeah,
Tenka,
but can you buy 100,000 Zimbabwean dollars?
with 2 loaves of bread. I really appreciate you coming on, Tenka, showing off some of these maps. We'll have to get some of these going. We'll have to get some promotion for this going in the server. And Ronald Rage does FFAs every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
He's a good guy. I love the guy.
Ronald,
Ronald
yeah,
is great.
Ronald Rage is awesome. I covered for him last night because he had a conference or something he was going to. But we gotta get to playing more of these Tenka's 10 maps under the
2 days ago, I
recommended
had a game
settings.
with Ronald Rage in which he focused me hard, and it was glorious.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I appreciated the Stonewalls. So
Hey,
everybody, XavierTenka, go check him out. We'll link his stream in the description of the video. Really appreciate you joining us, Tenka. Hope you have a great rest of your
also,
day. Oh
if I can
yeah.
say, please subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. I have a lot of games in there, and send me maps, lots of maps, please. Send me lots of maps. I love
Okay.
trying new things.
Yes. Subscribe to
Standard is
him.
too standard.
Send me a link to your YouTube channel, and I will add that to the description of the video as well.
Oh,
Yep. So, and then next up, we're going to talk about connection generation. So, thank you so much, Tenka. We will catch you later, and
sure.
we will share that link. I will change the video description to add that link. Everybody, XavierTenka, give him some love. Go subscribe to him.
Thank you.
All right. So up next, connection generation. So it was a good session with Tenka, but we're gonna do Tech's lesson here, connection generation. So I want to show you guys a map or two. They're pretty standard maps. Let me show you guys Black Forest first. So let's generate this Black Forest map here. As you can see, it's the base terrain of Black Forest. Oh, oops, we still have the Regicide enabled here. We don't have to enable that. Just a standard victory condition. We'll hit generate, and it'll generate Black Forest. And there's something important that I want to show you. You see this cavity here? This long channel, if you will, between these players is generated using connections. So we want to see if we can sort of recreate that. And actually, this kind of a player arrangement is somewhat unusual. And oh, it's because I haven't configured teams. That's right. So if I come over here to diplomacy and I ally player 1 with 2, 3, and 4, player 2 with player 1, 3, 4, player 3 with players 1, 2, and 4, and player 4 with players 1, 2, 3. There we go. We'll set this diplomacy so it does it right. But connections are an important part of random map scripting. They're somewhat primitive, but for the logic and the order of how random map scripting does things, they're very important for some classic random map scripts. So here we go. We'll generate that. And as you can see, we've got these roads in between the player bases on one team. I use the basic connection between players on Maggie Maze. Oh, that's good to know. Okay, and then we've also got these large channels here. So how is a map like Black Forest made exactly? And actually, the defining characteristic for this, what makes this map work, are connections. So let me explain. Let me show you. So I always like to start from scratch. You're going to have to forgive me for that one. So we're going to come over here to demonstrations, and we're going to create a new text document, and we're going to call this connection demonstration. All right, and we need to order things in the connection demonstration. Oops, we got a .txt file though. We want a .rms. So we're going to rename this. Go to the end. We're going to go to .rms here. Okay, and we're going to say yes. And now let's open it up. And I start from scratch here so that you guys can do this with me. And you can create a very simple script. We're going to have player setup. Actually, let's add our credentials first. So we're going to call it connection demonstration by Tech Chariot 11/20/22. All right. So we're going to have players setup. Then we're going to have land generation. We have elevation generation. Then we're going to have terrain generation. And then we're going to have connection generation. And then we're going to have objects generation. Okay, so we have a pretty good idea of what all of these do. The player setup just declares information about the players as they are starting. Lands produce distinct features that need to be at specific locations or have a specific order or pattern. Elevation expands those lands in the Z direction. Terrain generation will then relayer certain lands at certain elevations or certain distances from other things. Connections, though, take features that exist in different parts of the map and unite them. And then objects generation places physical objects down that can interact with other things. So let us create a very basic Black Forest map here. So I'm going to back out, go to the main menu here, and then we need to go back in, and we need to find connection demonstration, and we'll hit generate, and we'll make sure that it can find it. It will be an empty slate. So we'll go to random map here, and we'll go to tiny, and we'll go to connection generation. So where are we? Because we need to look in C's. All right, connection demonstration. So we hit generate, and sure enough, nothing happens, right? Because we have no instructions. So the very first thing that we want to do is we're going to come over here to land generation, and we're going to say base terrain forest. And then we hit generate, And we should get nothing but forests here. So as you can see, just straight up solid trees, right? So that's what you start out with for a map like Black Forest. Then we're going to come over here to player setup. And we're going to say now create player lands. Okay? And we're going to create player lands. We're going to have base size of 12. We're going to have land, or actually we're going to have maybe number of tiles. And we're going to do like, what, 400, maybe 600 tiles or something like that. I don't know. What I'll have to sort of tweak with it. And we're going to set circle radius as well, 30, and then 0. Okay, so this should be pretty basic. And we are also, so that we can more easily see, create object, where those the origin of those player lands are. Oh, we want terrain type grass. Okay, and then we want the base elevation to be 0. Base elevation 0. We don't have to type it because that's the default. Now we're going to create object town center so that we can see where the origin of these player lands are. We're going to set place for every player. And we're going to do find closest. Just like that. So we hit generate, and nothing happens. Maybe we need base terrain. Still nothing. Let's check the syntax here. Player setup. Oh shoot, that's in player setup. No wonder it's not working. Alright, we gotta paste that down here. Terrain type grass. Player setup, we need to put random placement for now. Okay. So that should work. Here we go. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a couple of players here. They've got a general base, and then they also have a little bit of land growth that's sort of organic. We could place in a clumping factor if we wanted to, although I have neglected to do so. If we had number of tiles equal to 0, and we save that, and we hit generate, it would of course be a perfect square because there would be no land growth. We should specify behavior version 1, actually, because that's good practice in the player setup. And behavior version 1, what that will do is that will make it so that when we say a number of tiles, it includes the tiles that are created from base size when determining the size of the land. So let's do 1200 tiles now. And maybe that'll be too much, maybe not. We'll hit generate here. Okay. And as you can see, we've got a couple of pockets of forest here. We can actually probably increase this a little bit more. These players are sort of in their own zone. Let's ratchet this up to maybe 1800. And maybe we can reduce this to 25 so the players are a little bit closer together. Remember, we're just kind of making our basic Black Forest style map. The details of it don't really matter too much. Now, if we wanted to, I think that we could come in here. We could say other zone avoidance distance of like, I don't know, 8 or something, and save it so that these lands have to avoid each other by 8 tiles while they're growing, so you don't have this thin section right here. So let's generate that. Same seed. And as you can see, it's much thicker now. So the land had to go off in some other direction. And actually, if we even did something like we could increase the number of tiles now to something like 2,400 per player, and hit generate, and these cavities will of course be even larger. But what I wanted to show you though is that on Black Forest, in order to guarantee that these players are joined, because remember, they may not be joined. Regardless of whether or not we have that other zone avoidance distance in there, this little amoeba-like arm, if you will, could just like be going down to the corner or something. Like it doesn't have to go toward your opponent. So now we're going to go into connection generation here. And that's really where we're going to make this happen. So in the terrain generation, we're not repurposing anything. We could generate some elevation here. We could generate some terrains, as you could see. Let's do that really quickly and simply then before we go to connections, just so you know that like you don't have to leave these empty. So we're going to create elevation 5. And we're going to do, I think it's base terrain for this one. Base terrain is going to be grass. Enable balanced elevation, which we're going to put last. Number of tiles. Number of tiles is going to be 600, let's say. Number of clumps is going to be 24. And then set scale by groups, let's say. So we'll give it some elevation just so you guys can see. So there we go. We got some random hills in here. And we could do something similar for the forest. This might be a little bit much on the hills. People will be like, it's so hard to boom. They'll complain. So we'll dial that back a little bit. We'll give the forest some elevation in and of itself. So come in here and be like, create elevation 7, base terrain, forest. We'll elevate the forest. And we'll do number of tiles. This time we'll do like, we'll cut this in half. We'll cut this to 312. So it'll be about half that amount. We'll save. And then we'll hit generate here. And we'll indeed have fewer hills around the players. But you can see on the mini-map, you can sort of see some shaded areas where these forests are elevated. Over here, there's a big hill. You can't really see it. So what we're going to do now to make that a little bit more visible is we're going to come over here to terrain generation, and we're going to say create terrain, maybe gravel. And we're going to define what the gravel is. So we're going to come up here, constant gravel, and that's number 70 on the terrain list. So we're going to create terrain gravel, and the base terrain for that is going to be forest. And we're going to do we're going to create land percent 100 here. And number of clumps is going to be 9320. Set scale by size and height limits now. And we're going to go 6 to 7. So we're going to convert this forest that's elevated by this elevation command. We're going to convert it into gravel. All right. Looks like it didn't work. I think that's because we need terrain type instead of base terrain. I always get those two mixed up. Let's try that now. Still no. All right, let's see what it is. One sec. It's base terrain. Base terrain forest. Number of clumps is good. Land percent 100 is good. So do we just not have enough? Do we just not have enough of this? Let's give that a try. Height limits. All right, well, let's... Number of tiles, let's just do 10,000. A gazillion. Let's make sure that that's not an issue. Elevating the entire... Okay, so that is the issue. So we just didn't have enough elevation on this forest here. Huh, alright. Well, that's interesting. So we'll have to do something a little bit more moderated then. Let's find a little sweet spot. Maybe 1,200 would be appropriate. We just didn't have enough gravel. Anyway, point is, that's not enough. So let's do 12,000. That might be too much. So it's something in between. I'd really like to make just like random little patches of gravel here in the forest. It's not really relevant to the connection generation, but I always like to make something kind of cute. Cute looking. Yeah. Still a little too much. And, oh, you know what? Let's increase the number of clumps here. See if that helps us out. Alright, yeah, I like that much better. Okay. So that's a lot more fair. There's kind of a mountaintop here. Okay, looks fine. So now let's connect the players. Let's use connections to connect the players. So we kind of got a Black Forest map with a little bit of gravel up here, right? Our highland areas, if you will. And we could potentially even increase the number of peaks here, but it doesn't really matter. Point is to show that we're doing all the steps here, and now we're going to add connections. So we need to come down here to connection generation, and it's important for you guys to understand that connections are done before objects. So objects can be placed on terrain that's created using connections. So we bring up the guide here, and we're going to use connect team lands. No, we're not. We're going to use... Well, first of all, we want to accumulate the connections, and then we want to connect all lands. So let us do that first. Connections are kind of funky. So the first thing that actually, well, you know, maybe we won't accumulate it, because if we accumulate it, then it will be kind of in a bigger area. Let's just try it without. So we're going to go to create connect all players lands. So create connect all player lands. Okay. Connections will be generated between the origins of all player lands and all lands assigned to players. Default replacement terrain is going to be grass. So but we could make it dirt. In fact, let's make it dirt so we can see it more easily. You could change it to grass in your example. No effect. So we're going to have to add some more things, I think. Create connect all player lands. All right, I think we want some more stuff here. So come down. And we're going to say replace terrain. And we're going to replace terrain forest with grass. I think that's how we need to phrase it here. Am I misspelling something? Create, connect all players. Aha. And then it's land. Okay. I don't use connections very often. And I will kind of explain why. All right, so here you go. We've got a basic connection here. We'll hit generate. You'll see a couple more of them. But there is a very small channel here. Now, we can adjust some properties of this connection with some other settings. We can use terrain size. So let's come over here and let's build on this. So we're going to do terrain size. Okay, and we're going to do terrain size 4 and 0. So this will guarantee that the connection will always be 4 wide. Like so. We could do like actually terrain size 4 and then the variation is 3. And what this will do is this could make a channel that is, the second number is plus or minus. So this could make a channel that's 7 wide or 1 wide. You just don't know. So this one is about average. This one's about average again. Okay, let's do, I'm not seeing too much variation. However, what happens if we generate this for a larger number of players? Maybe we'll get a chance to see some more connections, because obviously more players means more connections. So this is connecting all player lands now. So you see that we've got all of these channels going through as it's connecting the players. And again, these lines are being carved with connection generation. So these players are connecting to each other, But then this player also has to connect to green, and he's got to connect to purple, and he's got to connect to red. So you've got all of these little channels carving in and out here. Hit generate again. Okay, let's see if we can add some more features now. So we got terrain size, terrain type, radius, and the variance. Oh, whoops, we forgot an input here. So we want the grass to be 4 plus or minus 1. I think that should help. There we go. So these connections are very, very wide, as you can see. And then when we generate it again, they could be quite narrow. Let's generate it again. Let's do another generation. Seems like it's picking the wider ones. Yeah, let's come into the script, and now let's change it to 1 and 0, and we'll keep the same seed, and we'll generate it again. So you guys can get a feel for the smaller width, and there it is. Okay. So what else can we do with connections? Well, we could do terrain costs. So we could have it prefer to go through. Actually, this one doesn't even generate the gravel peaks, which is unusual. So we'll come back here to tiny. That might just be a matter of scaling the map. But let's do 2 players for now. So we'll come back to tiny size, because this is what we're kind of testing this out on, showing it off on. And what if we made it so that the connections preferred to go through gravel instead of forest? Like gravel was dirt cheap. So we're gonna set a low terrain cost and a higher cost for the forest. So let's come back here, and we'll set it to like 3, and we'll do terrain cost gravel, and we'll do 1, and then we'll do terrain cost forest, and we'll do 15. And these numbers, I mean, they are super weird, like how it behaves exactly. So yeah, there's just a lot of playing with it. I don't know too much about connections. I don't use them very much. But it looks like it doesn't even want to go this way. It still wants to try to go through this forest here, because it would have to go all the way up this way. So here's what we're going to do in that case. We will move the players a little bit further apart. Let's see if we can coax it to go over the peak here. I think that we need to move these players further apart. Circle radius maybe of 30, so that we can get a hill to spawn somewhere in between so you guys can see. Let's move them slightly further apart even still. Still connecting here. cost of 0 will prevent the connection from running through that terrain. So let us set the terrain cost to 0 for the forest. And let's see if that can... Actually, no, because it still needs to be able to go through the forest somewhat. So just a high cost for the forest. And we'll try decreasing the size of these player lands too. See if we can coax some hills. Here we go. All right. So as you can see, the connection has routed its way through this this gravel area. And to sort of show that a little bit better now, we'll come over here and we'll replace terrain gravel with dirt so that you guys can see it more easily. All right. Gravel with dirt. Okay. So we'll generate this seed again. You'll see that the connection is coming right over this gravel right here. It's now a dirt path. So we'll do a few more random generations. But we are kind of relying on this elevation to make this happen. So it might not be the best approach. But you can see in cases where it goes through this gravel in the center, it will actually turn into dirt. So it's trying to. Depending on where the elevation happens, it might not be able to. Let's try doing another thing, though. Let's just try creating a land in the center. Create land. All right, and the terrain type is going to be gravel. Base elevation is going to be 7 now. Oops. Base size is going to be maybe 1. And the number of tiles is going to be maybe, I don't know, 50. And there's no circle radius or other zone avoidance distance at all. So this will basically, oh, and we're going to do land position 50-50. So this will pretty much put gravel in the center of the map every time for the connection to have to go through. Although it looks like when we have this other zone avoidance distance, that the forest actually avoids, or that the grass avoids this, and then in turn, the connection just comes this way. So let us get rid of this other zone avoidance distance. Here we go. So as you can see, the connection is now drawn. These lands are a little bit smaller, so they don't try to overlap as much. We've got a big hill in the middle, and we've got a dirt path in between these players. So there you go. Sort of reminded myself, kind of struggled through it. Connections are very weird. But let's add another thing here. Let's look at this with 8 players now. Oops. And we'll do the large map size. Again, our hills won't spawn properly, but we'll at least have the one hill in the center. And it looks like we've got... This isn't scaled properly either. This land should probably be sized a lot larger for the size of the players. But I will show you guys one more thing. And that is that we can use other types of connections too. So let us, instead of, let's see. Instead of random placement, I think we're going to do what? Group placement. Let me check to make sure that's the correct terminology. Group by team. No, it's not. Grouped by team, that's what we need. And we will change the diplomacy now. Change it back. So we have a little bit more of an Amazon tunnel style connection scheme or appearance, if you will. The grouping placement of these players, their spacing depends on the base size that we chose, and you can see that the connection is basically carved its way through here entirely. And I'm wondering if we can sort of prune that down with accumulate connections. Let's try it. Interesting. So in this case, it misses the peak entirely. Do another generation here. In this case, it hits it. So you can go in and tweak these settings however you want. It looks like we have the size of 3 with a variance of 0. And I think each of these players are contributing basically 3 to the width, to the thickness of this. But even that looks a bit large. We might consider using a different command from connections that I hardly ever use. Let me make sure that I look it up here. Get it right. Create connect create connect team lands, create connect all lands, same land zones. Okay. We could try this. We could connect to non-player land. And this might give us a little bit more reliable of a thickness here, because now instead of each of these players trying to connect to all of the other players, it will target just this. So let's try that. Here we go. That looks a little bit better. So now all of these players, instead of trying to connect to each other, are all just trying to connect to this land right here that we placed in the center. But let's add another set of connections here, just to give you guys an idea of how a map like Black Forest or Amazon Tunnel might be made. So let's come down here and let us copy this, and we're going to change this from create connect to non-player land to create connect team lands. And we're going to replace the grass terrain with road terrain. And we're going to get rid of this. We're going to keep this terrain size 2 maybe, and change that to road. And terrain cost, we don't need that because there's only grass in between these guys. So this should add a road between players of the same team. Okay, not only does it do that, but apparently it connects to the point in the center as well, which is not what I was intending. Create connect. Same land zones. Maybe that's what I want. Let's try it. Because I believe that each of these players are in the same zone, if you will. No, it's connections may still pass through neutral or enemy lands if the cost is favorable. All right, so maybe we do need to go back to team lands here, and we need to just set create connect team lands. Make sure I get this right. And we're going to do terrain cost gravel 0, so it can't pass through gravel, and terrain cost dirt 0, and terrain cost forest 0. So it can't pass through any of those terrains. It's got to only go through the grass itself. Maybe that's the key. And I think maybe accumulate connections is screwing us up here. Maybe that's trying to combine the effects of these connections. Connect team lands. Place terrain. So it's not even doing anything. It's not even joining these players with the road. Let's comment this out and see if it can at least get it when it just has this instruction here. Replace grass with road. And we could set the grass terrain cost equal to 1. Maybe that's what we need to do. So it's very cheap. Okay. All right, come on. No, it's still not doing it. So it should be very simple. Should just be this. Oops. This is literally the example from Zetness's guide. Hold on. All players land. Forest with a road and grass with road. So let's just run this. See what this does. However, this also connects folks that are on the opposite team with you, which is not what we want. All right. I give up. I don't know. It looks cool. So what we're going to do is, since we can't recreate that, we are going to come and we're just going to look and see what it's doing. It's probably something stupid that I'm missing. Connection. Connect team lands. Replace terrain. I don't know what SESTA even means. If it's a ludicrous map size, though, it does something else. Terrain cost. So connect team lands, and it does connect all players' lands. SESTA is road in Czech. Ah, that is helpful. I'm not sure why it would be in Czech, but All right, so let us copy these. Come down here. And paste that. We'll get rid of this ludicrous map thing. Let's end that. Constants are named in Czech for some reason. Let's get rid of this. All right, so we're going to connect all player lands. So we're going to replace forest with grass, and we're going to replace gravel with dirt. And then we don't need any of this. And these are terrain costs. We don't have water, ice. We will set a terrain cost for forest of 1. Forest 1. And terrain cost, I don't think we need anything else here. Except for, yeah, that's fine. So we save that. Let us comment out this team lands thing for now. Save that. So when we run it, we should get the normal connections between that we had seen before. Remember, this is copied and pasted directly from the Black Forest script. Maybe it's that we're connecting it to a neutral land and it's not playing nice for whatever reason. It's kind of a cool diamond shape though. All right, so that's fine. So now let's uncomment this and try to get this to play nice. So we're going to replace terrain grass with road. It's a good thing we have a check in here to translate this. He's in the chat. All right, and then we're not going to replace anything else. Terrain cost. Grass, and we're going to set that equal to 1. Team lands. Get rid of that. So this should connect all players on the same team with road. Okay, there we go. So that's good. So we got the road connecting the players on the team. We might want to increase the cost of going through forests, looks like. So we could do like terrain cost forest 15. And then we'll keep this seed, and we should confirm that it doesn't go through forest anymore. Yeah, it paths around it somewhat. Okay. We could increase maybe the cost of going through, because these are all relative, going through grass. Maybe we increase that to 3. And these numbers are very, very fickle. And then it'll try to do it in like the most efficient or more efficient manner, because it's costing it resources. Here we go. So it does not try to branch off and form its own little shape now. Okay, we can do that randomly a few more times. We got the road connecting the players. We have the players connected to each other with these passages or channels. And maybe what happened is when we said create to neutral land or connect to neutral land, it's like screwing up this connection generation that's generating the road between players. I wonder if that's what's happening. So we're going to change it back to create connect to non-player land. So we will comment this out, we'll copy it, we'll comment it out, and we'll come down here and we'll say create connect to non-player land. And we'll see if that gets screwed up again. No, it does not. They are all going there properly. Although this is no longer working. So I wonder if it's written somewhere that like, aha, it is. Bug. Create connect to non-player land blocks all future connection generation. It also blocks all team connection generation except those involving player 1. All right, well, there we go. When used after create connect team lands. All right, so there is actually a bug that I did not see the fine print on Zetnus's guide that prevents, which is unfortunate, that prevents the teams from being connected properly. I want to show you guys another example. And I know we got stuck on that bug for a while. I'm going to convert this into we don't need these elevation generations, so I'll comment them out. Don't need the terrain generation. We're going to go base terrain water here. Or actually, we're going to go base terrain like DLC gravel beach or something. Okay. And we're going to get rid of this create land here in the center too. Create player lands, grass. Instead of number of tiles 2000s, we're going to do land percent 100. The base size is going to be a little bit larger, 16. And there's a certain map that's in, we're going to comment these out too. There's a certain map that's in the rank pool right now that I want to talk about. If you make connections to neutral land, you can't use connection between teams. Yep, I just discovered that. I learned something new today. Okay, so land percent 100. Other zone avoidance distance is going to be 10. And let's hit generate. It's really slow today. What's going on with this? Are we... Oops. Maybe we need to set zone by team. And then we need to just do random placement up here. Let's try this. It's not quite what I'm looking for. Here we go. So, terrain generation, we're going to uncomment this. We're going to create terrain water, base terrain, DLC gravel beach. And no height limits here. However, we are going to do space and other terrain types of 1. And then let's look at this and let's kind of talk about what map do we have here. What does this look like? What does this look like, guys? This looks like Highland, right? But there's one problem. You can't get to the other team. So we're going to use connections to make sure that you can get to the other team. So let's come down here and let's come over here and we're going to say create connect. Let me just check. Create connect all lands. I think that's what we want. and we are going to replace terrain water with shallow. Terrain cost of water is going to be 3. And we want to specify a width too, I think. Terrain size. Terrain type. Shallow. And that's going to be 6 plus or minus 1. Let's give that a try. So as you can see, you got crossings now. We're not replacing grass at all. We're just replacing water. Let us decrease this thickness a little bit. Maybe we reduce it to like 2 and 0. I think that would be a little bit more appropriate. Let's see. Okay, this one doesn't even make it across, unfortunately. These ones do. Okay. We could elevate it too. That could be kind of fun. We could make the river wider. And to do that, we would increase this other zone avoidance distance. So we could, for instance, make it 20. And then you can see that the river is wider now. But I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to decrease it to like 6. And then let's increase this circle radius to 40. And I'll show you guys another trick. There we go. So we got lots of little crossings here. Players are further away. Now, let us come down here to the connection generation, and we will replace terrain grass with snow. And the terrain cost of grass is going to be 3. And the terrain size of the snow is going to be 1 and 0. Okay. So we have snow kind of following along the banks, and we might be able to mess with the terrain costs. See if we can adjust that. And it looks like we have a long length of shallow now. So overall, that does not look how I wanted it to look. Say the terrain cost of grass is going to be much higher, maybe 15. Let's give that a try. This width is also too large, in my opinion. Replace terrain, grass with snow. Terrain cost for the grass is quite high, and the terrain size for the snow is small. I'm wondering if this is an application for accumulate connections. Try it. Perhaps we just need to do a second set of create connect all lands. Maybe that's the play. And so we'll get rid of the snow on this one and the grass. So we'll do this first. And then we'll get rid of the water on this one. So that it's not like weighing or comparing the costs to each other. So that looks a little bit better. It's no longer messing with the crossing sites. We've just got some snow here. And I think I actually want to change the terrain to dirt here so that I can see it better. Dirt, terrain cost, dirt. And we'll bump this back down to 3 since it's no longer relative. We're not comparing to 15. We'll hit generate. And this will allow us to see where the connections are actually going on the minimap. So why did I do this? Well, I think it's fun, number one. I'm just kind of messing around. But number two is I'm always looking for ways to punish the no snow mod users. You can use connections of snow between the players, and you can use your scout to follow the snow, and that'll bring you to your opponent's town center. So you can spend less time scouting if you don't have a silly mod that converts your snow into just some regular other terrain. It will also, in theory, lead you to crossing points, although for some reason the snow is still kind of following the edge of this land for reasons that I don't fully understand. I do want to comment, though. Let's go back to traditional Highland here. So we'll get rid of this, and we'll set this back equal to grass. Hit generate. We fumbled our way through these connections. Oof, brutal. Connections are very confusing. I'm not used to using them. And I want you guys to understand why I'm not used to using them. So why is it that connections are uncommon in random map scripts? It is because, based on the examples that I showed you, connections tend to produce choke points. And choke points are frowned upon in Age of Empires competitive play. We tend to follow whatever the pros are doing, you know, what the pros are playing, what the pros are interested in. I remember last year there was some Black Forest tournament that all the pros were doing, and everybody was doing Black Forest lobby games, you know, because it was the next cool thing to do. But in general, and rightfully so, maybe, perhaps, mostly rightfully so, the pros don't like Black Forest and Highland, and a lot of these maps that depend on connections, right? Because connections create choke points. And when you have choke points, it's easy for the team that is losing, that, does not have an advantage, it's getting pushed back, to wall off that choke point and prevent the enemy team from coming in and finishing the job. On Highland, this one's kind of a bad example because you've got the settings for our connections are such that you've got a shallow here spanning the entire length of it, but on traditional Highland, like you can wall the shallows off pretty easily, and like they look more like this. And you've got a river to build ships on, so you have powerful units that can repel and attack via land. So it turns into a grind over these shallows as opposing teams are fighting over the river. And it's regarded as so-called less competitive. So connections are something that they introduced in the Age of Kings to make these classic maps like Highland, like Black Forest, possible, because they kind of painted themselves into a corner with how they arranged the player setup and the elevation and the terrain generation, everything like that. I don't know if painting oneself into the corner is the right choice of words, but it allowed additional options. It allows you to have a map where players are separated by a river, but oh no, we have to come up with a way of joining them. Remember, this was in the days when you didn't have hundreds of lands or even thousands of lands as a possibility, right? Where you might have just a couple lands, maybe 4 lands at the most. And this was an order that was given at the end of everything once you got the geography set up to make sure that everybody could still reach each other. So that's my history lesson on connections. This is what they're used for. They're not really used in modern maps anymore because we have, number one, because modern maps are made to accommodate a professional play scene that prefers maps that don't have choke points, that can end in a reasonable amount of time, where you won't have somebody just wall it off and then you wait until Imperial Age crawl. And because there are lots of lands, so you can generally put more lands down to do what you need to do, using an image to land converter or mad lands or other programs that might exist out there. So hopefully you guys learned something about connections. I know I certainly did. That bug, man, that bug killed me. Okay, so I think I'm done talking about connections for now. And since I'm done talking about connections for now, we'll open it up for questions. This is the final segment of the show. We've gone over. We had spent a lot of time. Tenka had a lot to say, which was great, and we got hung up on this bug. Didn't see the fine print, so that was kind of embarrassing. But we did end up figuring it out why it wasn't working properly. And there's so much stuff you can tweak in connections. They're kind of a very weird area. And when you have maps, oh, one more thing. When you have maps with lots of lands, connections will break down. Like your game will crash. If you have more than just a couple lands, you can't use connections on your map because it's like a permutation. It'll be, you might have 8 different players here, and each player has to connect to 7 other players, right? So it's 8 times 7 times 6, etc. But if you increase that, and you have, let's say, 1,000 lands, then it's 1,000 times 999 times 998. So players tend to, or not players, but scripters prefer having the utility of having lots of lands than using connections, because the kinds of maps that are made with connections are not regarded generally as being competitive. So anyway, questions. Do you guys have any questions that I can try to answer that are hopefully not related to connections? But if they are, I will bring up the book and I will fumble through it with you and embarrass myself a little bit more on stream. That's fine. I am willing to admit that connections are not my cup of tea. They're not my strong point. But I will try to figure it out with you. We've got 40 minutes. I have to cap it at that. And then we've got another show match going on. So We will answer any questions that you might have, something that you got stuck on. Let me know. Maybe we could pretty this up a little bit. So maybe we'll make the base terrain mud. Well, you guys are thinking of your questions. We're gonna pretty this up a little bit. So constant, we're gonna do mud 76 here. And then we're gonna, yeah, that's good. And we're gonna create these player lands at base elevation of 1. So Ja says, Ja did the permutation. He said 1,000 lands will generate 4.02 times, I'm assuming that's 10 to the 2567 connections. It's a lot of connections. Game crashes. Don't do it. You can have a lot of lands and still use connections, but you can't connect those lands. Like you can connect specifically just player lands and have lots of neutral lands and it'll still be okay. But you can't connect the neutral lands or have any connections having anything to do with neutral lands if you have lots of neutral lands, because it'll just get overwhelmed. So let's elevate that to 1. Our base terrain will be mud. We will create, and let's increase this zone avoidance to 8. And then we will create terrain. We will create terrain DLC gravel beach. DLC gravel beach. Copy a lot of this stuff. Base terrain will be mud. And we will do space and other terrain types 1, but we'll also set flat terrain only, because I think that this is a little bit better for Highland. Let's take a look. So we've set our base terrain as mud here, and looks like it's still putting down some default beach here. I might need to increase that spacing a little bit more. But you can see that the mud is getting stretched upward from the base terrain here by the player lands. So let us maybe increase this to 10. There we go. So it looks like kind of the muddy banks of a river. And you could mask this gravel terrain over the mud if you wanted to. You could mask grass on top of the mud too. You could throw some trees in here, because it wouldn't be Highland without trees, right? Create terrain forest. Base terrain, grass. Land percent, maybe like 20. Number of clumps, maybe like, I don't know, 40. Set scale by groups, maybe. Space and other terrain types of, let's make sure they're always 4 away from the water, and then set avoid player start areas by 16 maybe. Whoops, we created some lands here. That actually does still look kind of cool, though. I'm not gonna lie. But it does mean that our river isn't going to work properly. So we need to create terrain for rest. That looks like Bakuretsu Mega Random almost. There you go. So some nice forests. It's a Highland style map. All right, well, if nobody has any questions, then I will end the show here. Oh man, those connections are confusing. I gotta admit, I feel bad about that. But hopefully you guys learned something, learned what connections are useful for and everything, and the basics of how to use them. If you are a connections expert, I would love to have you on the show. You can show us what you made with connections, and I'll learn something about it. That would be cool. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Watch Seabass's stream in 30 minutes. Seabass in the Viridog server, he's going to go live in 30 minutes. He is going to cast a show match between Yo-Yo Dude and Haru of Anvil. So it is a grudge match. Those two have faced each other in combat before. So we will see what happens. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you everybody so much for being here with us today in our 10th episode celebration. And I look forward to seeing you later.